Hi, I'm Sam Castor. I created Lex Lumina, which means law and light, to be a beacon of light in the sludge of YouTube. There are so many algorithms that are designed to agitate us, to make us uncomfortable, to make us feel like we're not enough. This is a conversation platform where we meet with people who are creating light and are showcasing that every human has the capacity to create light, even you do. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share, and let's change the world together. So I've known you for quite some time. You are a part of the Stewart family, which is a legacy here in Vegas. You have, if I remember correctly, you have 8 kids.
10.
10 kids. I knew I should have said 300, and then you would have corrected me the other way. You have 10 kids. You and your sweet wife, Anne, you guys are probably some of the most happy, peaceful, just full of goodness people I've ever met. Everybody should want you as their grandpa. That's just the energy you have. And you've done some really incredible things in your life. I know you're going to be humble about it, but you've done a lot. You've been an attorney.
Had a lot of great experiences and opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, you were an attorney for big organizations. You've done constitutional litigation. You've litigated all over the United States, right? And you've also served as a mission president for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is no small task. You're keeping track of a couple hundred 19 to 21-year-olds.
Right.
And where'd you serve again? I mean, what?
Atlanta, Georgia.
In Atlanta, that's right.
Came to love the South.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah. So you've done a lot of stuff, and I have so many questions for you. But the first one that kind of sticks out to me is, I think we share this reverence for the idea of peace.
Yes.
And Jerusalem, the city of peace, right? And the Jews say shalom, right?
Yeah.
And Islam honors peace as well. So there's this deep global reverence for this idea. Christianity does as well, of peace. What do you do to be, or in your life, what have you found that gives you the greatest peace, that you can be a man of peace?
Well, it comes back to what I believe. It comes back to my religion. It comes back to my church. It comes back to the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace. And that's no idle phrase, no idle title. That's not something a marketing department came up with. That's him.
Yeah.
And what he brings to us. So I have found that the better I and Anne and I together and our family as a family align ourselves with the teachings of Jesus Christ as contained in his gospel, his good news, the more peaceful we are, even when we're surrounded by stressful, difficult situations. As so many of us are, as the world is.
Especially right now,
Especially right now, we're at war.
Yeah, the U.S. is bombing Iran. I've heard rumors that the U.S. has had exchanged fire, I don't know if this is true or not, with other countries, big countries. In fact, we have one of our awesome people that helps us out with this podcast. His mom's in Dubai right now, and she's feeling the rockets and the
Yes, we've seen on the
tumult.
news scenes from Dubai, fires. And
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, it's a brutal time. So, what if you had one piece of advice to someone? Put yourself in your awesome, experienced grandpa wisdom role. What would you tell someone who's young right now about how to find that kind of peace?
That's so interesting that you asked that question, because I was working with a plumber this morning, young man, probably late 30s. And of course we talked about his family. He has 3 children. I think he said 10, 8, and 5, something like that. And we hit it off, but it was a short visit. And when he left, I kind of kicked myself, because I should have said one more thing to him than I said. And the one thing I said to him was, take it from me, I'm 76 now and I've had all kinds of experiences. But as Anne and I look back, there's no question the best thing we've done was make a family and focus on our family. and raise the children. And I think he thought about it. I think he took it a little bit to heart. Because he said something like, "Is that really so?" And I said, "Yeah, it's really so." He goes, "It's hard." And I says, "Wait till they're teenagers."
It's true.
But after he left, I thought, he needed one more thing. I should have said something to him like, you and your wife ought to start taking those kids to church where they'll learn about Jesus Christ, about their Heavenly Father. It'll make all the difference. So I kicked myself.
Wow.
Probably slim chance he'll see this podcast, but if he... Kevin, if you see it, that's what I wanted to say after you left.
Go learn about God.
Yeah.
Go have that relationship with Christ.
Right.
Yeah. So what is it about that relationship that creates that peace? You're a very, very intelligent human. Like lawyer, philosopher, and I would even peg you in the role of a creator, inventor. Like you've done stuff with your life. What creates that peace?
Well, again, Christ made the promise. Peace I leave with you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. My peace I give unto you. And he also made it clear that he extends his peace to those who will receive him and follow him through the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost. I just had a memory flash into my mind when you were talking about peace. I was a young lawyer here in Las Vegas. The largest law firm in Las Vegas at that time was called Lionel Sawyer and Collins.
Oh, big! Yeah, they're a big firm.
And they were representing a wealthy family suing my not wealthy clients, actually alleging fraud because of an investment that the plaintiff and the defendant were involved in together. And we were in front of a very experienced judge, Judge Brennan. That'll show you how long ago this occurred. This was such a high pressure situation. So much was at stake. And I'd feel anxiety and stress. Nobody can feel stress, I think, quite like litigators in high stakes cases.
Yeah. One moment defines it all. Yeah.
And every morning I'd wake up and would leave the home quite early before the family was up even. And I'd always say a prayer and ask for peace. And every morning for the 5 or 6 days of that litigation, and that's a fairly long trial, I'd feel it as I'd walk out the door, and it would sustain me. So there's a concrete example.
Yeah.
The Savior said, "Ask and ye shall receive," and that was...
It's that simple.
It happened.
Yeah.
That's a true account. And we won.
To boot.
To boot.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, I love that. So, because I think that sometimes people put barriers between themselves and God, or they impose terms or obligations or steps or whatever. But so your experience was you just ask.
Yeah. And it always has to be thy will be done, not mine.
Sure.
Which is hard because basically as human beings, it's human nature. We live for our own wills.
Yeah.
That's the hot burning core of our existence usually.
My way. Yeah.
My way.
Yeah. Well, so what do you do to surrender that, to let that go and try and be in harmony with heaven?
Well, the more you manage to do that and let the Lord do his will, the more times you see how that has much better outcomes.
Yeah.
Much better outcomes
Yeah.
than just saying, I know what's best for me and I'm going to do it.
Mm. And I'm sure you experienced that a little bit with your kids.
Yes, and just all kinds of experiences, professionally, educationally. I'll give you an example if
Please.
you want one.
Yeah.
I was an undergraduate student at Brigham Young University. The law school had announced that it was, or excuse me, the university had announced that it was going to start a new law school. But I was a very serious student and a very diligent student, and I was blessed to do really well on the LSAT. And you've heard of quota systems. Back then, Harvard had a quota system. It would take 2 guys from BYU into its law school. Everybody knew that. And I say guys because that was back before the great, wonderful influx of women into the profession. And so I applied to Harvard. And I got accepted.
Wow.
But right at that same time, the brand new dean of the BYU Law School, Rex Lee, started talking to me and saying to me, you got to come here. And he was the greatest salesman. He was a great advocate. He became Solicitor General of the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Of the Department of Justice of the United States, and argued constantly before the United States Supreme Court. He was the best advocate in the country. So, and on top of that, he had all the verve and vim and vigor of just a great salesman. Mm-hmm. And there was hardly any promise he wouldn't make to try to entice good students to come and start the new law school. And in one of those sessions, I don't know how this ever came into my mind, because I didn't have lawyers in my family, but I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. But somehow or another, I had heard about a thing called the United States Supreme Court law clerk. And then I heard that certain people I really admired, like Dallin Oaks and Rex Lee, had been Supreme Court law clerks. And I kind of thought, that'd be cool. Mm-hmm. So Rex was in the middle of his spiel, and I just said, you know, I've always thought it'd be great. I'd like to be a United States Supreme Court law clerk. And it was just letting the air out of the balloon. He just was deflated. And he looked right at me. And he said, well, he goes, even if you went to Harvard, that would be just such a super long shot, which was his way of saying,
not a chance.
If you come here, there's not a chance.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I would have been in the charter class of a brand new law school in an obscure corner of the Great Basin that was still waiting for its accreditation. And anyway, Ann and I talked a lot about it, and sitting in our small, drafty little student duplex one afternoon, the thought or the impression just came clear. Jesus wants you to go to the BYU Law School. And I turned to Ann and I said, Jesus wants us to go to the BYU Law School. And she looked at me, she said, okay. And that's what we did. And I would have people stop me as I'd walk across campus. This was in my last year undergraduate. And say very pointedly, very bluntly, you are crazy.
Not going to Harvard.
Not going to Harvard.
Yeah.
And some years later, I was a United States Supreme Court law clerk.
What a cool story. How did that work? What happened?
I got to clerk for the Ninth Circuit for a year, and then I applied, and I interviewed with Justice Powell, and I interviewed with Justice Rehnquist, and I interviewed with the former law clerk of Chief Justice Berger. And the interviews were all great, and Justice Powell, the quintessential Southern gentleman, wrote me a rejection letter that was so nice. It was better than most acceptance letters I'd ever gotten for anything in my life. But he
Wow.
rejected me, and so did Rehnquist. And then I got word the Chief Justice accepted me as one of his law clerks.
And who was that at the time?
Chief Justice Warren Burger.
Oh, Warrenberger, yeah.
And he had 4 law clerks. And one was from the University of Virginia and 2 were from Harvard. And I remember we were sitting around and I told him this story. And the wisest, savviest of them all, Bob Rosenfeld, one of the 2 from Harvard, said to me, well, had you gone to Harvard, it's clear that one of us wouldn't be here. Because, you know, a justice would spread his clerks. He wouldn't take 3 out of 4
Sure.
from Harvard.
Wow.
And that was an amazing experience from a boy from Alamo, Nevada,
Wow.
and Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow.
And of course, it's opened a lot of doors since to help me in a lot of ways provide for my family.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, that's an it's like a singularity from an opportunity standpoint. It's so rare to be able to clerk for not only the Supreme Court, but the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. That's remarkable.
And so, up until that happened, I was just an ugly little frog. Big law firms would talk to me and not give me a job offer.
Yeah.
And then after I had that, they came knocking at my door and said, we don't understand how, we've looked back through our notes. We'd really like you to come with us now. And I just thought, I'm still the ugly frog just because some princess kissed me. I'm no prince now. Anyway, a lifetime of experiences. The Lord can do better by us and make more of us. If we'll let him, then we can do for ourselves and make of ourselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I really admire have come to that same understanding through their experiences. And you learn it both negatively and positively.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, because we all have negative experiences when we do it our way.
And it does not work.
Yeah. And, Frank Sinatra could act like he was real happy doing it his way, but, like I say, you learn through those positive experiences, like this amazing one I just related, and you learn by negative experiences, and we'll just slip by those.
That's fair. Well, and I have a testimony that I believe that every experience is an invitation to have a relationship with God. Every single experience, the good and the bad. I had a similar experience where we were deciding where we were going to go to law school.
Yeah.
We got waitlisted at Boyd here in Vegas.
Yes.
And my in-laws, they're 3rd generation Las Vegans. My wife's a 4th gen, and they were like, oh, you got to go to Boyd. But then I got accepted to Catholic out in D.C.
Yes.
And we drove, packed up all of our little possessions, drove across country in a U-Haul, got to Tennessee, got a phone call from Boyd. Hey, come back, we'll give you a scholarship. And then my in-laws were like, hey, if you come back, and this is 2008.
The year the Great Recession started.
Yeah. I'm sorry. No, this is actually, I ruined the punchline. This is actually 2006.
Okay.
Right before all that. So, things are moving. And my in-laws call and say, hey, if you come back to Vegas, we'll buy you a house. We want you to be close to so that we can be close to the grandkids. You don't have any kids yet. This is a great opportunity.
They did this out of their great love for Annalise and the children.
And not me. Yeah, it was all about.
Come on, goes without saying.
So we're in Tennessee, and we pray about it, and we're like, we feel like we should go to D.C.
Yeah.
Go to the first week. Catholic started a week early. Go to the first week, and I'm terrified. No one in my family has been to law school. It's a rough experience. The Socratic method.
Oh,
you get grilled.
It's scary.
Yeah. So I took civil procedure my first year, and I was like, what is this? So I go over the first week. We decide this is not where I want to be. It's too stressful. Why deal with the financial stress? It's twice, it's expensive, not a scholarship. We pack up, go back, we get to Tennessee again. Rain clouds, storm, construction work. Annalise and I get in one of the biggest fights of our marriage, and we feel that opposition. The hey, you're going the wrong way. We stop, say a prayer in a Denny's. Which way should we go? We turned around, we headed back to Vegas or to DC, and the clouds departed, and everything worked out. And then I ended up having I was this little podunk kid from Provo with hardly any real amazing credentials. Ended up working in the White House, ended up working for a senator, like having these incredible experiences.
Which senator?
Senator Hatch.
Yes.
Which was remarkable.
Yes.
Yeah, gave him the Heimlich once, saved his life when he was choking on a pill. Believe it or not. I was the only one tall enough in the office. But it's that stuff. It's like, it's not me. It's God opening doors and saying, I have a path. So how do you encourage someone to cultivate that? Like, what are the tips to cultivate that relationship with God where you can hear that direction?
Everybody has to take their own step of faith into the dark. Nobody can take it for you.
Yeah.
You can hear inspiring, faith-promoting stories. I think that's one reason God gave us the Bible and the other scriptures. Mm-hmm. And every religion has its nearly every religion has its scriptures. And in large part because they have these stories of faith. Mm. Those help. But it always, always takes courage. And that's why I think it was C.S. Lewis said that, and I wish I could quote him word for word, but I can't, and I'll ruin it if I paraphrase it. But he said, courage is the manifestation of each and every virtue at its moment of test and trial.
Yeah, I remember that quote.
Yeah. So
it's the embodiment of all virtue.
Yeah.
You put it all together.
At that moment.
Yeah.
And so you take the test, or you face the test, you face the darkness. You say, if I take a step, I don't even see where my foot's coming down. Is there anything there for it to come down on? The best example from any movie was that last great Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, The Last Crusade.
The Last Crusade, when he had to take a step, and not until he did he realize there's actually a pathway across this huge chasm.
Yeah.
Great dramatization, but it's a great metaphor for what we all experience, and we all live. Most everybody lives just normal lives. Most people are normal. Most people live pretty obscure lives and ordinary lives. And we raise ordinary families, and our children are usually just pretty much ordinary, and we love them absolutely to the max. And so our tests of faith may seem ordinary, but they matter so much. Mm. And there's nothing quite as interesting as life.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and you've lived a very full one. So there are times when I go to the airport.
Yes.
And I am surrounded by thousands of people.
Yeah. All
going to and fro. And I like to people watch and just look at people.
Look in their faces.
Yeah, see what's going on. And every once in a while someone will look back. It's those rare moments where you catch somebody's eye and you smile and say hello. But it overwhelms me at times to think that there's all of this humanity, all these individuals, mm-hmm. and God loves every single one of them. He has a plan for every single one of them, and it's so tempting to think when you see someone on stage that is what it means to be good, or that is what it means to be important or valued.
Right.
But that's not what God's saying. Uh-uh. What's your perspective on that? Like, how do you feel? Because you have 10 kids. How do you love all your kids the same? It's a lot of kids.
It is, but each one is different. Each one comes with a personality and a soul that's already in many ways formed. Mm. And but you love them. It's a blessing. They're yours, and you're grateful to get to associate with them. And you go through all kinds of trials and tribulations with them. And the rabbis have a great saying: little children, little problems. Big children, big problems.
I think all of us with kids can appreciate that.
But my grandmother, Jessie Lamb Stewart, she had a great saying. She had 8 children, and she raised in her home in Alamo, Nevada, during the depths of the Depression, with an invalided husband. She took in and literally raised full-time 6 or 8 more. And she was asked more than a few times, hey, come on, which of your children do you love the most? And you know what her answer was? The one who is in trouble right now. And you know what? She meant it.
Yeah. That watchful eye, she was looking out for everybody.
And so, yeah, I meant what I told Kevin this morning. You look back over your life, and making your family is far and away the most important thing. The thing that'll matter most to you when you get white hair and realize you're on the downward slope.
Yeah. I think it's natural to feel like you're on the downward slope as soon as you start having kids.
Well, my dad always said, you got to be young to raise young kids. That's so true, because it takes so much physical, mental, emotional energy. Constant sacrifice, constant service. And but now we're at an age where the children are expending their energy taking care of us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That reminds me of that book. Did you ever read that little story book, I'll Love You Forever, I'll Love You for Always? Where it's the story of the mother singing to the child. And then,
my mother sent me that book when I was a grown man.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's easy to weep too. Like you just read it and you go, oh, like the amount of love that the mom shows, and then to see the son come and full circle. Yeah, it's beautiful. Right. Well, so you've seen quite a bit of change. You said 76, right? That's how old you are now?
I am 76.
76.
1949.
Wow.
It's a vintage year. You know, they talk about different wines by some years are vintage years.
You guys are the greatest generation.
No, we're not the greatest generation.
No, what are you?
We're boomers.
Oh, you're a boomer, okay.
And most people, the standard consensus is the boomers have done more harm than good.
Really? You're not laughing. You think that's true, yeah? Why is that?
Well, the good they did because of what they inherited from the greatest generation.
Okay.
The generation that grew up through the Depression and then won World War II all around the world and defeated fascism and militarism, and then that stayed the course to bring about the collapse of Soviet Union and communism in large part. And boomers tend to be pretty hard workers, and I think that was just something instilled in them by the greatest generation that had no choice because they were Depression era kids. And I think boomers were, generally speaking, pretty high strivers, generally speaking. It's hard to make generalizations about generations, but there are certain traits and characteristics.
Yeah, it happens.
But, you know, boomers were the ones that introduced the great concept of me one, me first, that element of selfishness and radical individualism that has continued to grow and spread and be so destructive of the kind of community that we as human beings really need to truly flourish.
Mm-hmm. The unity.
You know what? We need one another. We need our little platoons. We need our families. We need the PTA. We need the Elks Club. We need our church congregation. And the only way we can have them is to give to them. It's not about, hey, if I join the Elks, what's that going to do for me? That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work in a family.
No, if everybody takes, there's nothing left, right?
No,
yeah.
You know. And so there's that idea of you live for things outside yourself. I think it's probably fair to say that my generation started with a bang and started powerfully. That notion that has gained so much cultural traction. You know, I got to be true to myself. That's the only way I can be authentic. Baloney.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're setting yourself up to be fully manipulated.
Yeah, wow.
Especially by false authenticity.
Yeah. Unpack that more. What do you mean? So when someone says, I'm all about me, because I found that to be true too. I've worked with incredible people. I've worked with very generous people and also people who some would describe as narcissistic or self-centered.
Yeah.
And I found there's always another narcissist behind the narcissist. There's always somebody manipulating the manipulator.
You might have to unpack that before I can have...
But what do you mean? Yeah.
Well, look, one of the great blessings of growing up as a Latter-day Saint was that we were taught about missions. I got to serve an amazing mission in Brazil as a young man.
Tudo bem.
And you know, I served it with other people, young people who were there on their own nickel doing it, and boy, it was hard. And we'd bump into other young people our own age who were there in the Peace Corps. Same thing. It was kind of a sense of mission. And but it was all about giving of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, speaking of the Peace Corps, John Kennedy did inspire my generation, the boomers, or at least some of them, to some extent with ideas like the Peace Corps and that kind of service and altruism. But the voices so many in the boomer generation listened to were preaching the exact opposite. With the invitation to drugs, to sexual promiscuity, to all of that. That's all about me.
Yeah, consumption instead of
exactly.
coexistence, yeah.
And unfortunately, like I say, that started a cultural tsunami that has carried on to subsequent generations.
Have you read the book, The Fourth Turning? Have you heard of this?
No, I've heard of the title.
It's fascinating. It talks about we go through generational seasonal cycles.
Right.
Spring, summer, fall, winter, every 80 to 120 years. And they said the 60s were a pretty rough spring.
Yes.
The boomers could have ushered in more peace and more prosperity. But because this book, written by some economists, suggests that the reason that they didn't was because the greatest generation wanted to give everything to their
them.
children.
Exactly right. Because they had it so hard.
So hard. But there's also this correlation, I think, between difficulty and character.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly right.
The more manure, the better the plant, so to speak.
You know, I've lived in Las Vegas since December 1954. We moved here from Alamo, Nevada. I got here, I saw the lights, I thought this is the biggest city in the world.
Mm.
There were 30,000 people in the whole valley.
Yeah.
But over the following decades, it became what it became, you know.
Yeah, 1,000.
And it was the greatest generation that built this town. And you can name different families. You mentioned the Stewart family, but they're the Fertittas and, you know, the patriarchs and matriarchs of those families were greatest generation people.
Mm.
And pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. Well, the good news of that book is that they predict that in 2020 we'll be in a winter. In the 80s they predicted come 2020 we'd be in a dark winter. War, pestilence, societal decay, gender confusion, violence, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would not bet against that.
Yeah.
And even though I'm eternally an optimist.
I can tell by your constant smile. So I like to be optimistic too. But then what's interesting is that difficulty, that opposition is what inspires people to reach for peace.
Right. And live for things beyond themselves.
Yeah.
For bigger and better things.
Yeah, you see people around you suffer, you see people die, you see people abused or marginalized.
Yeah.
That inspires the hero in us, right?
Right.
So do you feel like your grandkids are up for the task?
Yes.
You didn't even hesitate. You
No.
just...
They are. They are. I was about to say, one of the great things that Ann and I have experienced in our life is, at this point, to look at our children and realize they care for one another.
Mm.
They look out for one another. We've known for some years that if, you know, tomorrow we were on a plane that went down, or we're taken together in a car wreck or something like that, we wouldn't worry. Our children, we know they would be there looking out and taking care of each other. That's something you learn in family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is a plug, by the way, for more children.
Yeah. Well, no,
it's a blessing.
Yeah. It's funny because my grandpa he taught at BYU. George Pace got a lot of flack for being pro children, had 12 kids.
Yes.
And
I knew him.
I know you knew him, yeah. And remember, I'm sure he felt the same way about you that you've expressed you felt about him. And, you know, you guys are doing good things. You're making the world a brighter place. But the idea of family, that we're willing to suffer with each other. We used to always say growing up that, well, if you have to get sick or get cancer or something, this is the best family to do it in because there's so many people that are going to pray for you, you know?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Well, so, okay, let's talk about a little bit about the law, and we can come back to some other things about your personal
Let's talk about the law.
Okay. So there's been a lot of movement at the Supreme Court level on things. How do you feel about that? I'm sure you still track that. You worked in those chambers.
Yeah, I did.
You know, the Supreme Court just 2 days ago ruled that California was inappropriate in their secret efforts to facilitate transgender transitioning for kids. They used code names. They required teachers to propagate, transgender.
The essence of that decision, and it was not an ultimate decision on the merits.
No, it was just they probably screwed up by doing that. Yeah.
And someday there will probably be a decision on the merits, although it may not be at the Supreme Court level. But the core concept there really goes back to the 1920s, when I think the case came out of Oregon. And it had to do with the education of children. And Oregon, back then we had a lot of immigrants in this nation. The high point of the immigration wave was about 1900 to through there. And so in the 19-teens, 1920s, there was a lot of immigrants, foreign-born people. And school districts and state governments, they said, well, we got to make everybody an American, you know, so we got to do this, we got to do this, and we got to do this. And that ran contrary to the beliefs, the core values and principles and religious beliefs of a number of these parents. But they were just poor immigrants, so who cares about them? And the case went to the United States Supreme Court. And the United States Supreme Court recognized the right and responsibility of parents to direct the nurture and rearing and training and education of their children.
It's
a fundamental right,
yeah.
a fundamental constitutional right. Well, the legislators in California and the bureaucrats and the school district people over there, I mean, they were just tone deaf and talk about a big blind spot. Because the whole thing was, here's something of huge importance to this child. A whole lot more important than whether he's going to be forced to take a French class or be prohibited from taking a German. You know, this is something of huge importance and pretty much irreversible importance. And we're going to keep the parents out of it. In fact, our conscious policy is keep them in the dark so they cannot have any input on this. How could they understand fundamental constitutional law and take that approach? So I'm grateful for that old Supreme Court doctrine, recognizing this fundamental right of parents, which Justice Stevens, he was a character. And in a pornography case, he threw off a line once in his dissent. He was always dissenting. But it stuck with me. He said, look, what we're talking about here, this isn't the kind of things that people are willing to send their sons off to war to fight and die for. And he almost meant it as like he always often did, a crack. I got thinking about that. That's a pretty good measure. American moms and American dads have been sending their boys, and now they're increasingly their girls, off to fight and die for certain things. Obviously, the right of self-government, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, those kinds of things. Freedom for parents to form their own families and rear their own families according to their best lights. Yeah. And
that's something
those are rightly fundamental rights.
Yeah.
And by fundamental, as you know, we mean rights that the government can impinge on and infringe only if it has an absolutely very compelling valid governmental interest. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that's it. So that's a big one. There's the Roe v. Wade has been overturned.
Yes.
Did you ever think that would happen?
Well, increasingly I did as the court changed because, just to be blunt, and Roe was decided 4 years before I served as a law clerk at the United States Supreme Court.
Oh, okay.
Just because that decision had no intellectual constitutional basis. And people who supported it acknowledged that. It was just an ipse dixit, to use a little Latin.
Yeah. It's so because I say it so.
It's so because I say it so.
Yeah.
And some of the brightest people who were very pro-choice tried for years to come up with good constitutional arguments to support the outcome, because of course they loved the outcome.
Sure.
And one of them, over the course of a long life as a Harvard law professor, worked his way through 5 different rationales. Each one he'd come up with would ultimately collapse, and he kept trying. All the United States Supreme Court said when they overruled and reversed Roe versus Wade was, hey, there's no constitutional basis for this.
No, it's a state issue.
There's no sound
Yeah.
constitutional doctrine, principles that support that outcome. This is such an important decision. It's got to be left to the people through their legislative processes. Supreme Court didn't outlaw abortions. They said that's a decision for the people in each state.
Under the 10th Amendment, reserved for the states, right?
Yes, and because it's there's such profound moral issues at stake of all kinds.
Yeah.
And if we are truly a self-governing people, that means we are going to resolve those profound moral issues that have to be resolved through our democracy, through our Republican form of government, small r form of government. And that's what the reversal did, and that's what's been happening. And a lot of states immediately said, we're going full pro-choice. And others said, no, we think that the unborn child has a greater moral value than you appear to think the unborn child has. Mm-hmm. And we're going to protect that value in that situation. So there you are.
No, and I think you're right. I also think that as states make those decisions, there's almost a separation or a gathering to different ideologies that's going to happen with the states. I think that decision will undeniably impact the overall culture of a state.
Yeah, true. But as a practical matter, one of our fundamental rights is the right to travel.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, 14th Amendment, right? Yeah, don't interfere with commerce and the ability to interstate, yeah. Well, okay, so if you had some advice to give, are there any other Supreme Court cases that stick out to you recently? There's been a lot of stuff that's happened, even just over the last couple of years.
The tariff case was clearly rightly decided.
Yeah, that the president can't impose tariffs.
Not the way he was doing.
Trying to, yeah.
Under the statute that he invoked.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he has a hook another way?
Well, there are other statutes that are true tariff statutes that do delegate some power to the president, but they're hedged about by various restrictions and limitations.
Sure.
This administration historically hasn't tended to pay a great deal of attention to limitations and restrictions in the statutes that it invokes.
Sure.
We'll see whether they have been sufficiently schooled
or not,
that they will say, okay, we want the tariffs. Mm-hmm. The big guy really wants the tariffs. Mm-hmm. Let's figure out what we got to do and what hoops we got to jump through, and let's jump through them right.
It kind of feels...
Which is the rule of law.
That is the rule of law. And this almost kind of feels a little bit like what FDR was doing with the New Deal and some of the other things, the initiatives he was pushing.
That's right.
That's kind of, I feel like we're back to that cycle a little bit. Do you think there's some similarities there?
When Roosevelt, people were so desperate. And George Will said it right. Roosevelt's best New Deal program was his smile. Because he just exuded confidence and we're going to get through this, we're going to do better. Yeah. A lot of his programs, people accepted them because on the surface they appeared to offer hope and to be good solutions. Some of them helped.
Yeah, but a lot of them didn't.
A lot of them didn't. A lot of them actually, apparently, prolonged the Depression. But he was very popular, but then he took a step too far.
What was that?
He proposed packing the Supreme Court, and that backfired on him. And that's when people said no. So any president, no matter how popular, and Trump is certainly not currently as popular as FDR was in the mid-30s, you know, they're going to come up, if they are too aggressive in the exercise of executive power, they're going to come up against the American people.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that.
Certain segments of the American populace, they're not going to come up against. They're going to say, yes, sir.
Yeah.
But I think a strong majority are going to say no. I think if there were a court packing proposal presented now, I think the American people would react against that. I would certainly hope they would.
Yeah.
Because I have such respect for the United States Supreme Court as an institution, even though they have done things, like with their same-sex marriage decision in 2015, Obergefell, that were just, you know, unjustified. As an institution, I look at the Supreme Court as one of the great bulwarks of our liberty.
Yeah.
Those 9 are the stewards, with a D, not a T, the stewards of our liberties, of our form of government,
Yeah.
of separation of powers. And all I can say is God bless them, because they live in tough times for that task.
Yeah, very difficult. Well, I was lucky enough to see the confirmation hearing of Roberts. I was working in Hatch's office. And Alito.
He hit a home run when he talked about being just the umpire calling balls and strikes.
Yeah.
He started off right and he just went from there.
Yeah, he was great. And probably the most incredible jurist I've ever met personally. And probably currently in the United States, just incredibly bright. He was grilled for hours by senators.
Yeah.
Didn't have any notes, didn't have any cue cards, just knew the law.
Yeah.
And Alito came through, Harriet Miers came through when I was there. And really interesting, but I remember after Roberts was appointed, I was in law school, and I remember at Catholic we were debating one of his decisions, and it was pretty clear that he felt like his job was to create unity.
Yes.
Among the justices.
And preserve the institutional standing of the court.
Yeah, got to keep it together.
Now, he stretched too far a few times in doing that, but you can't be too critical of a Chief Justice making that a high priority.
Yeah, keeping the family together.
Yeah, and keeping the court respected.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot we could talk about there, but let's transition just to 3 things I always ask everybody when they come on. Okay. What do you believe? Like, what's one of your big core beliefs? What's your why? What drives you? And then what have you done in your life, or what have you seen in your life that creates light? Because this show's Lex Lumina, Law and Light. So you're an icon of the law. You've done incredible things. What are some of those things?
Icon of the law.
I think to me you are. You've done a lot. You've been a tremendous advocate for those who are defenseless. You've cared for a lot of people.
Okay, so what do I believe?
Yeah, what do you believe?
I guess the core belief that radiates the furthest is that God is our Heavenly Father, and He loves us, and each and every one of us is His beloved child. And when I say radiates the furthest, I mean that radiates into the law powerfully with the concept of human dignity and notions of fair play, fairness, due process, with notions of equality, equal rights. And, you know, people who do not believe that we're all children of the same God. They have a hard time finding a basis for these fundamental principles we value so highly: human dignity, equality, fairness. Why should we? And so I believe in my Heavenly Father, and that He is our Heavenly Father, and He expects me to treat every one of His children like my sister and like my brother.
That's the best justification.
Yeah. And what's my motivation?
Mm-hmm. What's your why?
Takes a long story.
Go for it.
Remember the ugly frog?
Yeah.
That somebody thought had been kissed by the princess and turned into a handsome prince?
Yeah.
So when I came out of law school, brand new law school, different law firms talked to me because I had really good credentials coming out of law school. But, you know, I wasn't getting any job offers.
Mm.
And I did get one from a good law firm, and I took it. And then I went off to do my clerkships. And then I got this United States Supreme Court law clerkship. And suddenly I was the handsome prince. And here came all of these law firms trying to persuade me to go to work with them. And I had a couple of months left at the United States Supreme Court, and so I was getting close to having to decide.
Mm.
And on a Saturday evening, I happened to go to a church meeting, and there was a young apostle of Jesus Christ there named Boyd K. Packer.
Mm.
And he was talking and telling about his recent experiences in South Africa. And I was only kind of 1/3 listening, because most of my mind was occupied by,
Sure.
which firm should I go to? Which firm should I go to? And then for some reason, I just kind of, those thoughts slowed down, and I started listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, these words came to my heart. And they were my words, but they weren't my words.
Mm.
And they were true. And it was simply, all I really want to do is help build the kingdom. Meaning the kingdom of my Heavenly Father here on the earth, which is spread His gospel, the gospel of Jesus Christ, to as much as possible.
Mm. And
so there's the answer to your second question. Your third question had something to do about Lex Lumina and light and the law. And
yeah, what have you seen in your life that creates light?
That creates light?
Yeah.
As a professional, as a lawyer.
Yeah, you can do that.
As a lawyer, remembering that core essential first belief and treating people accordingly.
Mm.
I mean, in the law, if you're a lawyer, especially if you're a litigator, and especially if you're in high-stakes cases, I've been in high-stakes cases dollar-wise.
Mm.
I have been in high-stakes cases emotionally. I mean, for 12 years, I was in virtually every case in South Africa, Canada, and the United States where people were fighting over the question of, should marriage be redefined from the union of a man and a woman to the union of any two persons as a matter of constitutional law.
That's high stakes, yeah.
And we can all remember how emotional that was for people on each side. And the only light in those interactions came from people who, for whatever their belief or motivation, treated one another with equal dignity.
Yeah. You respect each other.
Yeah.
Honor each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you disagree, especially when you disagree.
Yeah, especially when you disagree.
Yeah. I love that. Do you have a saying or a mantra that you adhere to? Something that you is kind of like classic Monty Stewart tagline or slogan?
Wow. I don't think so.
No?
I've disappointed you. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
You'll probably scrub this whole podcast now.
No, I won't. No, we won't. But one of the things that I think I would give you is that you're always smiling. I see you recover.
I was a scoutmaster 3 times for a number of years each time. And that's what my scouts called me, Brother Smiley. Hey.
Keep smiling.
Keep smiling. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't have.
I think it's
something
just you.
Snappy.
That's okay. I think it's just you. Well, this is my last question for you.
Okay, last question.
Okay, and then we have a little gift for you that we'll give you at the end here, because we love people that create light, and we think you're an example of that. You're 76.
Yes.
It's hard to get old. Not that you're old, but
I'm old.
You're experienced.
I'm old.
I wouldn't say it, but I'll let you say it. It's hard to deal with. I mean, you're pretty fit. I see you at the gym regularly. You remind me of a poster my parents have in their house. Some couple old people lifting weights or swimming, and it says, "Getting old ain't for sissies." It's hard. It's hard to age.
Yes.
What have you found that helps you keep smiling through the pain and through the recovery from a surgery, or through the loss of your functions or faculties? I mean, you're still happy. What is it that is your secret sauce on that?
My secret sauce. One of my favorite hymns is "For the Beauty of the Earth." And it talks about the beauty of the earth, but it also talks about human love that surrounds us. Father, mother, sister, child, I think are some of the words. And those ideas, they are there. Like Samwise Gamgee said, in a very dark spot. He looked up and there was a break in the clouds and he could see a star far beyond. Remember that? Tolkien was a genius.
He lived that.
In large part because of his deep Christianity.
Yeah. And his difficulty, World War I.
All he went through, yeah. And even in the darkest times, even when evil is so present and inhumanity is so prevalent, there are bright shining stars. And like King Arthur said at the end of Camelot, we're all just drops of rain falling into a vast ocean, but some of us sparkle. So make up your mind. Let's love one another
and sparkle.
And sparkle.
I love that. Well, because you do that, we have a gift for you, and we only invite people on this show that we believe create light or that sparkle.
Okay.
And so this is I like to refer to those kinds of people as human lightsabers. That they radiate light and they chase the darkness away.
So do I get this because I mentioned Tolkien?
No, you get this because this is...
I mean, because I mentioned various movies.
Yeah. Well, that helps.
Wait, I never mentioned Star Wars.
No, it's all right. I think you're in good company, though.
Okay.
So this is because we believe that you are like this. You are a human lightsaber, and you chase the darkness away. So this is our gift to you. Thanks for being...
Thank you.
For being...
There is an equivalent in Tolkien.
What's that?
What did Galadriel give
Frodo?
Yeah. It was something about this big. Remember?
Yeah, the little blade that would
To shine in darkness.
That's it.
It's a great metaphor, isn't it?
It is. It's beautiful. And you do that.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that, and thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate the privilege.
Yeah. Thanks, Monty. Thank you for taking time today to watch this episode. I love that you enjoy this content. Please like, subscribe, and share so we can spread this across the world and create more light together.